Hey, I'm back. Hope everyone had a good break. I know I sure did. Not gonna lie, I got Ghost of Yote for Christmas and I've sank a completely unreasonable amount of time on it already, so I should probably get back to work. Even the game kept reminding me. Sorry. To start, I took apart the sections I was going to add adjustments to. I began with the usual fingers. I invested in a white primer, which I would use to prime them, but I didn't want to cover the translucent blue pieces. I had other ideas for them, but more on that later. As for the Zamasphere launcher, I wondered if I should paint the spheres fluorescent blue, but thought using blue marbles looked better. I ended up going for the clear ones. As for Matoro's other weapon, the Inika all come with swords that should light up when you press a button. Mine doesn't, however. I opened up the sword and saw that it is a singular LED illuminating a clear rod. A simple but effective effect. I removed the components and tested how it looked with a 5mm blue LED. I could see it working, however the clear rod was just a tad too long to also house the LED. A quick cut and everything fits in snugly. The only thing I wasn't too happy with was you could see the LED and rod end through the buttonhole. So using said button, I cut off the buttony part of the button and pierced a hole through it for the cables to run through. This blocked off the light quite well. I also wasn't a fan of this bin symbol. It kind of ruins any sense of immersion. Although it is shown in the trailers, so maybe it's a reminder for the Inika not to discard their sword. I sanded it away anyway. As for the eyes, this wasn't so black and white, or should I say green and yellow. The eyepiece that comes exclusively with the Inika has that annoying yellowy green mix, so it wasn't completely definite. In the comics, the Inika's eyes are clearly yellow, whilst in the trailers and in Bionicle Heroes, his eyes are obviously green. By complete accident, I discovered that the LED lights shine through the eyepiece, so all I had to do was decide whether to go for a green LED or the white. There were a lot of mixed opinions on what looked better too in a prior post. In the end, I settled on the green LED. I added this T-piece as well to make the LEDs more secure. Now for the eagle-eyed people out there, if you look closely, you can see that Matoro is white. So naturally I painted him chrome. Now you may be wondering, Matt, have you been eating paint chips again? And I would say, absolutely. But more importantly, hear me out. White doesn't really correspond to a metal, but I had an idea. What if I made the base coat of Matoro metallic chrome and then gradually build up white layers to create a frozen metal look, since he's a tour of ice. It made sense to me, and it's my paint, and I will paint what I want to. That being said, Matoro isn't all just white plastic. Like mentioned earlier, he has some translucent limbs, which I did not want to ruin by making them opaque. I'm not sure if this is canon, but I imagine these are his biological parts, and I wanted to have a frosted gradient going from the ends to blend the metal to the man, if that makes sense. On the Matoro model in Bionicle Heroes, he has some light metallic blue accents like on his fingers and on his mask, which I wanted to pay homage to as well. Normally when doing accent colours, I like to use a lighter colour to help highlight the hidden details, but with a lighter base colour, I opted for a darker accent colour instead, adding in the occasional metallic blue. Once Matoro's pedicure was complete, I assembled all of his body parts together. Snapping Bionicle pieces together is both satisfying and terrifying. If you know, you know. I assembled the light components in the sword as well as the eyes. Even with the T-piece, the LEDs weren't overly secure, so I glued them in place with hot glue. I equipped Matoro with his weapons and fed the cables through his arm and chest plate. As for the base, I wanted to showcase a scene from the Inika or Matoro trailer. As much as the thought of creating a 30cm metal fence would be as fun as it was frustrating, I decided to take inspiration from the wall of Zama launchers instead. Specifically this pose, deflecting a shot from the wall trap. For said shot, I opened my bag of Zamasphere Marrowfat peas and noticed this pinhole-sized hole in them and instantly got a bright idea. I wanted an LED in that. Off camera, I drilled the hole big enough for a 3mm diode to fit inside. And the results speak for themselves. As to attach it, I thought a cable running through the sphere to the launcher would look too distracting, so I intertwined the cables through Matoro and his sword. Moving along, I took a couple of large nuggets of foam and roughly visualized my plan. I then cut them down to the sizes I would need. I've had these hexagonal felt pads to go under furniture feet laying around for years, and thought one of them would be perfect for the switch Matoro steps on. I then marked the height the launcher made sense to be and removed the block from its foamy prison. I then used the block as the holder for the launcher, making sure to fill the gap behind it with a thinner sheet of foam. I etched a similar sized rectangle into the foam to imply of another trap that hasn't opened yet, to reduce the amount of Zama launchers used. I also filled in any gaps with filler and stuck the trap switch in place. After priming everything black, I got to work blending a mix of dark and light greys to create a stone effect. I also added in dirt and rusty splodges to break up the monotony. After gluing the launcher in place, I had an idea. Using strips of hardened hot glue, I peeled them off and stuck two together to create a trail effect for the Zamasphere. A touch of fluorescent green paint created a perfect gradual tinge to the glue and had the added benefit of glowing under a UV light. While the paint dried, I took some time to solder and paint all the cables. Glue was then added to the sphere, the soles of Matoro's feet, as well as a battery housing that I managed to tuck behind the wall with the cables running underneath the base. I thought the wall was still missing something, so I printed and cut out the Paraka warning sign and used a small plastic gubbin from a washing machine as a cool space filler. I gave it a touch of metal and rust paint and I added some wire discards. And with that done, I think that is everything complete. Thank you everyone for watching. If you could like the video and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. If you have already, thank you very much. If you want to see more videos like this, stick around and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra.